We are huge fans of the GenderCool project
Indeed.
here on the show, and there are big things going on over there. Joining us now is the brand new executive director of the GenderCool project, Chase Glenn. Chase, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely to meet you face to face at the Windy City Times 40th anniversary celebration. I'm glad that you are here in Chicago now. What has been your journey leading up to becoming the brand new executive director of the GenderCool project?
Yeah, thanks again for having me and giving me the chance to talk about GenderCool, and being such great supporters of the organization. So my background is I was born in a small town in southern Illinois. So my family's recent move back to Illinois is a bit of a coming home. I'm a trans man who grew up in a small conservative town in a pretty religious family, and this was back in the 70s and 80s when we didn't have the internet. We didn't have, necessarily a whole lot of support even for trans folks. And where I grew up, I didn't think I knew anyone who was trans, didn't hear any stories about trans folks. And so my upbringing really just, as I was able to discover who I was, just set me up for sort of understanding the importance of the support and the stories that organizations like GenderCool tell. My recent move, I just moved here to the Chicagoland area from Charleston, South Carolina, where I was there for 20 years, and most recently was the executive director of an equality organization, statewide equality org in South Carolina. So excited to be back in Illinois, to have my family here, my wife, and we're raising 2 little kids, and excited to be working with GenderCool.
So aside from the, of course, the GenderCool project is an incredible organization. We've been big supporters of them from the get-go, an incredible group of folks that are there. Aside from, of course, having that as a lure to come back to Illinois, were there any other reasons of getting out of South Carolina to come to Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, well, again, family, of course.
Family, yes, of course.
Is a lure. Family is getting back closer to the families that we both, my wife and I both have here is, of course, a draw. But, South Carolina was a really wonderful place to live for 20 years, but also had become, I'll just say, increasingly hostile towards trans folks, to be honest. And so this was an opportunity for us to sort of take the next step as our family. We didn't necessarily see the life that we wanted to build for ourselves there. And Illinois is an incredible state with an incredible governor who is so vocally supportive of trans folks. Governor Pritzker is a real light and a beacon for the trans community, and so supportive. And so it was exciting for us to think about returning to Illinois, where we knew we would feel so supported and would have the rights that all trans folks deserve.
Absolutely. Chase, I understand you grew up in a conservative, more religious influenced environment. How did the early part of your life shape how you view things like gender and identity and community today?
Yeah. Well, so much of it is, and this is, I feel like, a universal sort of thing that isn't necessarily specific to trans identity, but it's the fact that, especially in our formative years growing up, if we don't have examples of the people that, sort of reference points for who we are, what we can become, what we feel like is possible, sometimes it's really hard to imagine that future for ourselves, right? And that's not just about being trans. That could be, a career decision, that could be identity related, but for me, I just didn't have those reference points for people who were trans, who were successful, who were happy, who were living fulfilled lives, who were able to have families, who were able to, have joy-filled lives. I just didn't have any sort of reference point for that. And so for me, it was when I first started to be able to see people who were living these fulfilled lives, who were, happy and successful, that for me was like, oh, wait, okay, there's a place for me out there in this world. And I think that's one of the things that GenderCool is able to do, right? We have these young people, our champions, who are living very full lives, who are luckily have support from their families, and are able to be that light and show and tell those stories that, trans folks are out here. We are, we are able to be successful and thriving and have joy. And that's such a great touch point. It's something that's really needed right now in particular, because that's not, there are a lot of other stories being told about trans people that aren't necessarily told by trans people. So that's, that kind of shines a little light, I think, on sort of my upbringing, my lived experience, and how that I see that connecting with what I'm doing today.
Yeah, well, and GenderCool project from the get-go was about telling the stories, as you were saying, about telling these incredible young people who are doing incredible things. And I believe Jen Grosshandler, who is one of the founders of the organization, has been like, being trans is the least interesting part of who these young people are. They are just an incredible group of people. I mean, y'all have been invited to the White House, I believe. Wasn't someone a guest of Dr. Jill Biden for the State of the Union one year, like during the Biden presidency? It really is an incredible organization out there getting the work, spreading the word about trans and queer joy. And that I couldn't think of something more joyful than going to celebrate and having a big event. So on November 12th, y'all are doing Together We Thrive, an evening with GenderCool. What is in store for that night?
Yeah, well, we are so excited. I appreciate you bringing it up. We're excited to have a celebration of the work that GenderCool has been doing and continues to do. We're also just excited to be able to bring together the people who have been so supportive of our organization, people who are, new to us, as well as our longtime supporters. Of course, our co-founders. You mentioned Jen Grosshandler and John Grosshandler, Gira Goldstein, like people who have been in this work for so many years. And also be able to celebrate some of our, we're giving away our first Ally of the Year award. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's a pretty exciting person that we're hopeful will be able to join us. But it's going to be a moment, I believe, of hope and inspiration in this moment where that's really needed so deeply right now. The trans community is under attack in so many ways, and we think this is a great opportunity to bring folks together here in Chicago and really celebrate the fact that Chicago is lighting the way, Illinois is lighting the way in trans rights and trans support and trans joy, as you said, and we want to be a part of continuing that work with GenderCool, and so we're just excited to bring together that energy on November 12th, and we would love for anyone who wants to feel that or support that to be able to join us.
So, it sounds like it's going to be a fabulous night, but, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We've got nibbles, we've got drinks, we've got folks, fabulous folks that are reunited. Like, what is the program for the evening to give us the hard sell?
Yeah, the hard sell. Oh, gosh, I didn't give you the hard sell already. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. There's food, there's drinks, there's lots of chance to mingle and connect with folks. And then, yes, we will have our program where we will have some of our champions on hand who will be sharing some of their stories. We will have opportunities, again, to hopefully see in person our Ally of the Year award recipient, which we're super excited about. I'll be able to talk, and that's probably the least interesting part of it.
I doubt that.
as the new executive director, share some of my vision and hope for the organization. We also have nationally known and recently named Out 100 award winner Dana Goldberg hosting the event that evening, and
Love
we'll
it.
be
We love Dana.
bringing lots of fun, I'm sure, and lots of laughs, and will be helping us raise money, because ultimately that is the goal of the event, is to raise much needed funds for GenderCool to be able to continue our work. Because as I'm sure you know, I mean, right now, progressive organizations and specifically LGBTQ plus organizations are really, not nonprofits, are really feeling the pinch right now, whether it is because they're being targeted for the type of work that they're doing in the community, or just in general experiencing, some of the struggles we're having with, fundraising and raising support. This is a time where we need that support more than ever, and so we're going to come together and raise hopefully a lot of money for GenderCool to be able to continue on.
Yeah. Well,
great evening.
Chase, I mean, you've been in Chicago for all of 2 seconds already, but you are a rising leader within the LGBTQ community here in Chicago. How can we as a community rise up to meet this moment to help do the work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just want to stop and say, when you and I had a chance to meet face-to-face at the Windy City Times 40th anniversary event, that was such an incredible event, and one of the first for me to be out and meeting people out in the area, and just such, for me, so appropriate, because it, Windy City Times has been telling the stories of our community for 40 years, and how that connects so directly, I think, to what GenderCool is doing. And I would say, one of the ways, and this is super basic, right? But it's showing up for our community, whether that is physically showing up and supporting at events like we're hosting on November 12th. You see how I just worked that in there?
That was really good.
Or just showing up in ways that we need our allies to show up right now. And that could be anything from, conversations with your family, conversation with your friends, where maybe you're hearing people who are spreading misinformation or saying things that aren't accurate, like just showing up for us by standing up for us in those spaces. And that social media is what it is. There's a lot of positives and there can be negatives, but there's a lot of opportunity for people to show up for us and stand up for us in social media also. But I would say ultimately, find a place. If you want to give back, if you want to support our community, find a local organization, a locally based organization where you can plug in. And I would love for that to be GenderCool. I would love for you to make sure you follow us on our socials and, get added to our newsletter and stay connected to us and learn the different ways that you can show up for us throughout the year. But if it's not GenderCool, maybe it is GenderCool, but also just look for those other organizations, whether it's Center on Halstead or Equality Illinois or, any of the other number of, local and regional LGBTQ organizations where there are lots of opportunities to plug in and support the work. Put action behind your words is my biggest hope for everyone, because in my experience, when I've, taken a step out beyond just, saying that I support and actually acting and doing, the secret here is that you actually receive just as much or more from
That's
those
right.
actions than you do in just in what you're giving. Right?
Amen to
And
that.
so,
Amen to that. Well,
it's important.
I couldn't think of a better way to take
Oh,
action
fantastic.
and have a fabulous time and to see the mystery date that is the Ally of the Year. Open the door to your mystery date. I love it. So we want to make sure that you get your tickets for Together We Thrive, an evening with GenderCool on November 12th by visiting gendercoolevents.org. Chase, Glenn, again, thank you so much for taking time out to join us today, and congratulations on the new gig. Chicago is much better off with you all in here. With y'all
Welcome
here.
to Chicago. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Chase.
so much. I really appreciate being able to join you today.